Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
This is Professor Presbyterian back with another episode of Hey Professor, the show where we talk about all the things you wanted to know about allied health, health informatics, health information management, and healthcare leadership. This is going to be the third part of the healthcare leadership episode where I talk about whether or not that's something that you might want to get into. So leading, right? Steering the ship. I think that having a leadership mindset, and this last one's going to be about mindset. The first one was about social. The second one was about the types of leadership. The third one is going to be about mindset, right? So what I do as a leader, and when I'm in my field, I'm doing my thing, as far as mindset goes, my thought process is, how can I move the needle forward? What I mean is, how can I implement a process? How can I change something that will move the needle forward in a positive way for this department and for this organization as a whole? How can I change something that my staff is doing that will allow them to do it more efficiently? And how can we really communicate that, right? If you were to ask me if my staff's happiness ever factors into the concept, yes, but as a medium, right? Because the truth is, a lot of times, at least in my experience, people are never going to be happy, especially if you're telling them what to do. A lot of people just have a very real aversion to that, right? And even with mindset, let me tell you this for now, right? With mindset, you have to get in the mindset of being able to walk up to somebody or have them come to you, whichever, and just saying, hey, do this, and I need it done by this time. That's it. And then you walk away, right? Whether that seems like a jerk or not, I hope not. I hope it doesn't seem like a jerk, because it's not about being a jerk. It's about getting things done. Because your job at the end of the day isn't about being liked. There's no feelings involved, right? So I've had situations, like I said, my first management job was a small organization. I had a team of 3. It wasn't much. And I kind of was a little bit shy. I don't want to say shy, but I wasn't used to just being like, hey, do this. I was very uncertain. And what you'll find is that people pick up on that energy. People pick up on the fact that you're not certain. They pick up on the fact that you don't really know what you're doing, or you don't sound like you do, or you don't feel like you do. And you don't want that. You want it to come across as, I am absolutely certain, I know what I'm doing, and this is what I'm telling you to do. More than that, I expect it to be done in a reasonable time frame. Like I said, I've done that whole thing. I've had that awkward phase as a leader. And let me tell you this right now, and especially when it's your first time leadership, when you're first getting into that position, obviously your bosses are above you. Your bosses are your leader, right? And you never want them to have the feeling that you have the inability to lead. What I mean is, you don't want to, give them the feeling that you're more worried about being nice. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's about getting results. And I've had that situation. I've had situations where I want to say counseled. I was spoken to early on in my career. Javon, you're not really, moving effectively. You're not really setting goals and standards. You're not really doing this. You're not really doing that. What it came down to was that at the time, I wasn't comfortable with saying, hey, this is what I need done. This is what I want done. This is what you're going to do, right? And what you'll find is that, and look, I'm telling you this right now, I've done it all, right? So if you're in that position, I'm telling you right now, if you get hired as a manager, leader, supervisor, whatever, you want to get comfortable with that, because what's going to end up happening is, if you're not effective as a leader, you will be let go. So think about what's more important to you: your continued paycheck, lifestyle, and career advancing in the way you want, or you being let go because you couldn't be, I don't want to use the word tough enough, but direct enough, to the point enough to say, hey, this is what's happening. Now, in most organizations, any I've worked at for sure, the employee can't really tell you no anyway, right? That's called insubordination, and they handle that differently everywhere, but generally it's not a good thing either way. So you should be able to, as long as it's a reasonable request, go up to the employee, say, hey, guess what, John, I know you're working on this, but I'm assigning you this task. And they're supposed to pivot and do that other thing. I've had employees talk back. I've had employees say, that's not in my job description. I've had employees say, I'm not sure about that, or I'll do that later. And how you handle that really depends on you. That's going to come down to your general leadership style. You really want to have a balanced situation. You want to have a balanced approach. You want to have a balanced mindset, right? As long as the work is getting done, everything's cool. The results are getting done because you have to report that to your bosses, to committees, to leaders, to state, to federal, whatever, right? That's fine. But you also want to make sure, if you can, after all that's done, that your staff is happy. Because at the end of the day, it's not about just being a cold-hearted jerk. Yeah, you got to get the results that you got to get. I mean, we're here for that. We're not here to play around, and we're not here to be friends. But there's nothing wrong with rewarding them every once in a while, making them feel appreciated. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it does stand to be the truth that an employee that is appreciated, an employee that feels valued, is going to work harder. They're going to try harder. They're going to go further for you and for the organization if they feel valued. That's the truth. Treat them to lunch every once in a while. Maybe treat them to a breakfast. Send a nice email. Recognize when they do well as when they do wrong, because they'll realize that there's a pattern of, well, you only dropped the hammer on me. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to drop the hammer either, you know? And that goes for any situation, union and non-union. Be as balanced as you can. Don't have this unapproachable, persona about you. Don't have an unapproachable appearance. And when I say mindset, I want to focus on this as well, right? And this it's a little bit about mindset, but it's also the first episode, which is the social aspect. Being a leader, being a department head, is also like being a therapist. It's like being a friend. And I'm not even joking. You're like, but I thought none of that mattered. Yes, the ultimate goal is for you to have the work done and it to be done well, because the organization runs on results. But also understand that sometimes your staff is going to be going through things. And if you have a more human approach with them, and you have a more reserved approach, like, hey, we can get along and we can work on this together, then they're going to remember that, and they're going to remember that, and they're going to associate those positive traits with you. This is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to end it. Guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Professor Presbury out. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character. That is the true goal of education.